Have you ever noticed that the stronger and more successful you become, the harder it is to feel relaxed and loved? You're crushing it in your career, you've got your life together, but something's missing in your relationship. Today I'm going to show you why being a strong woman might actually be blocking you from receiving the love you want, and exactly how to change that without losing your strength and power. Stay tuned because what I'm about to share might completely change how you view your relationships. Here's what I see happening all the time in my work with successful women. You're independent, you've built a beautiful life for yourself, and you're so proud of how far you've come. It's truly a dream. But in your relationship, something feels off. Maybe you're finding it hard to relax and let your partner take care of you. Maybe you feel frustrated that he's not showing up in the way that you want him to. Maybe you catch yourself pushing away affection or attention or support. And maybe even you're wondering why you can't just enjoy love and maybe even sex like other women seem to. If you're nodding along and you're feeling that truth, you're not alone. In fact, this is such a common pattern that it has a name, the independence trap. And today we're going to break free from it. So let's talk about how you got here. Growing up, like me, like many women, you probably learned that you need to be strong, take care of yourself, never rely on others, always have it together, don't be weak or vulnerable, don't need anyone. And this has served you well, and in many ways you've built an amazing life. But here's what no one tells you. That same independence that helped you succeed can actually block you from receiving love. So I want to share a personal story with you. 3 years ago, when my husband and I first started dating, our relationship was really struggling. I had this pattern where I would do everything myself. I would handle all of my emotions alone. I would isolate. I wouldn't tell him what was going on. I would figure out all my problems alone. And I would never ask for help. And I thought I was being strong. I didn't want to inconvenience him or give him any burdens about what I was going through. But one day I had this realization that felt like a slap in the face. I was sitting on the couch and I was feeling frustrated because I felt unseen. I didn't feel like my partner really understood me, and I was wondering why he wasn't showing up for me the way I wanted. And I was even questioning if he was the right person for me, to the point where I even went on a date with someone else because I felt so unseen and so disconnected. And that's a story for another time. You may have heard it if you've been with me for a while. But suddenly I saw it. How could he show up for me? How could I feel seen by him when I'm constantly sending the message of, I don't need you? Every time he tried to help, I'd say, I got it. Every time he tried to support me emotionally, I would hide or shut down or deal with it myself or pretend everything was fine. And every time he tried to take care of me, I had already taken care of it myself. And you may relate to that, right? And the most important piece here is that I also never communicated clearly what I needed from him because I didn't know how. I was so used to not needing from others, but deep down I felt these wants and these needs inside of my relationship. So the independent part of me was creating the exact opposite of what I truly desired. And the wild part is, once I saw this pattern and started to work on it, everything changed. Now my husband and I have such a different dynamic. He is truly my rock and truly my person, and he'll come out of his office after a long day and see me after a long day with our 2-year-old, and he'll know just exactly what I need. He'll ask, how you feeling? I can actually receive that attention and that care instead of pushing it away. So this is a pattern I see in so many strong women that I work with. We're literally blocking the very thing we want the most. And here's the thing, your nervous system has been trained to reject support, even when you consciously want it. It's like having a big bouncer guy at the door of your heart, turning away love before it can even reach you. Big bouncer guy saying, nope, you're not on the list. Nope, you're not on the list. No one's on the list of your heart. And so no one can reach you, can come inside. And after working with hundreds of women, I've discovered this shows up in 3 specific patterns. We talked about the first pattern, the hyper-independence trap, in the last video. We'll go a little bit deeper into that today, and I'm also going to share with you the other 2 patterns that I think you will really resonate with. And the thing with these patterns is, the point is not to say, oh, these are all the ways that you're wrong. The point is to say, okay, once I see this pattern about myself, I can change it. We can't change things we don't honestly see. So we want to be honest with ourselves about where we're being certain ways, where we want to go, and create a plan and invest in getting there, right? Invest our time in getting there. So let's go into these 3 patterns together. I want you to comment in the chat as we go, which ones you're resonating with. So the first pattern is what I call the hyper independence pattern. And I see this one all the time. It was my personal biggest block to receiving love. So I want you to picture this. You're incredibly capable. You've built an amazing life for yourself, and you're proud of being self-sufficient, as you should be. Generations and generations and generations of our ancestors of women cannot say the same, right? What a privilege to be able to create something amazing and epic for ourselves. But here's the thing, that same independence can serve as a protection mechanism. And that same independence that helped you succeed might actually be creating an invisible wall between you and receiving deeper intimacy and support. This is what it looks like. Your partner offers to help with something, maybe, planning an event or handling a difficult situation. Before they even finish offering, you've already said, I've got it. Don't worry about it. Even though deep down, if you really think about it, you want their support, but you don't trust them to do it right? Or maybe you find yourself handling everything alone, even when your partner wants to help. You handle the kids, you handle the house, you handle your business stuff, you handle your own emotions, you handle everything. You handle communicating with your family, planning out gifts for Christmas time. You handle it all, right? Maybe you take pride in never needing anyone. You take pride in that. And you might even feel really uncomfortable with sharing your feelings, letting people see you cry, and being angry. You may feel uncomfortable being vulnerable with your emotions. If you've caught yourself doing this in this hyper-independence trap, comment 1 in the chat. So I know what you might be thinking, but my independence has gotten me so far in life. It's helped me build my career, handle tough situations, become the strong woman that I am today. And you're absolutely right. I would never tell you to get rid of this part of yourself. I don't want to change you. You shouldn't want to change you. The goal isn't to lose this incredible strength and capability that you've developed. Instead, we're adding in something new, and that is the ability to receive love while maintaining your power. I want you to think of it like being bilingual in relationships. You can speak both languages, both the language of independence and the language of receiving. Now let's move on to the second pattern. The second pattern is what I call the provider pattern. Now this one is super sneaky because it feels noble. It feels almost righteous. You're the one who takes care of everything and everyone, and you enjoy giving and you enjoy taking care of everyone. But there's likely a deeper belief running the show, and that belief is that you have to earn love through doing, achieving, or being perfect. Now, I had a client who was very successful, generous, always giving to others. She's a bad bitch, if you know what I mean. She was awesome. But when it came to her partnership, her partner would try to surprise her with gifts or take care of her just because, and it would make her so uncomfortable. She would even feel guilty that her partner was going out of his way to take care of her, going out of his inconveniencing himself to get her flowers on the way home. She was basically pushing him away by how she was communicating and how she was feeling when he would give her these things or do things for her. So let's talk about the signs of what this pattern, this provider pattern, really looks like. And the first one being what this woman experienced, which was feeling guilty when you're receiving something without earning it, when other people are going out of their way to give to you, and when you haven't earned it according to your own internal standards and you feel guilty about it. The next one is being uncomfortable when your partner tries to provide for you. It just makes you uncomfortable when someone is giving to you. You're always the giver in your relationships. And lastly, you only feel worthy and good about yourself when you're doing something. And you only feel worthy of people taking care of you when you're doing something, when you've done something to earn it. So this third pattern that we're about to go into, we've talked about the hyper-independence pattern, and we've talked about the provider pattern, and this third one is often the pattern that tends to underlie the others, and it's the control pattern. This is where you find it hard to trust other people to meet your needs. to show up for you, to do things the way you need them to be done. And so you maintain control of everything by doing everything yourself. Me personally, I used to micromanage everything in my life, in relationship, from when the dishes were done, how they were done, where we went on date night, what time we went on date night, who we went with, right? And I thought I was just being organized and being intentional, but really the energy behind it was control out of fear. The fear was motivating the control, and I was pushing love away because I couldn't trust. I couldn't just enjoy the presence of my partner and really surrender. Okay, so some signs that you might be experiencing this control pattern is that you feel anxious whenever you're not in charge. You have trouble trusting your partner with important tasks like planning a trip, or important tasks like taking care of the children. And you feel like you need to oversee everything in the relationship. And you also find it difficult to relax and receive. So as you're thinking about these, remember, you don't feel bad about yourself. Feeling bad about experiencing these patterns doesn't help you change them. It only roots you and digs you a deeper hole into them. Let's celebrate that we're noticing these patterns. Let's make it a good thing. Wow, you're here, you're noticing these patterns. And put which pattern you're noticing. Celebrate yourself. Yeah, I'm such a control pattern person, right? Celebrate yourself in the comments, because this is a huge step that you're taking to even just have awareness, right? So put a 1, 2, 3 in the comments. Which one are you discovering about yourself? Which one have you been aware of and you're like, yeah, okay, now that I hear it this way, that's totally me, right? Here's a crucial thing I want you to understand about these patterns. They're not your fault, and they've developed for very good reasons. Very good reasons. And they've gotten you so far, and we thank them and we honor them, and we don't want to get rid of them for good. But if you do want to experience deep, soul-nourishing, mind-blowing love and intimacy while maintaining this independence and this strength, you need to understand what's really creating these patterns in your body. So now that you understand these patterns that we've gone through, what they look like, I want to talk about why they're actually happening in your body and what to do about it. So here's where it gets interesting. Mindset is like a common thing that is talked about, and mindset is super important. But when it comes to patterns in relationships, a lot of times they're way deeper than just your mindset. So this isn't just about changing your mindset or making different choices. Your body, your nervous system, your tissues in your body are literally programmed to reject love. When you've been independent for so long, receiving love actually feels threatening to your nervous system. It's like trying to download a program, trying to download love, and your internal firewall is protecting you and keeps blocking it and not allowing the program to go through. So you don't truly feel the depth of love that you want to feel. So I want you to think about it. Have you ever had someone offer to help you and immediately you felt tense, anxious, you started thinking a bunch, you feel like maybe you need to escape, or like you need to reject their help, or you have to prove that you can do it yourself? That, along with many other symptoms, is your nervous system saying danger. This is a threat. Even though you consciously want to receive love, your nervous system is saying no. And your nervous system is like your body's control center. At work, your nervous system knows exactly what to do. But with love, your system gets confused. Your system treats love like a threat. But we can teach your body and your nervous system that love is safe. Now that you understand a little bit more about how your nervous system is actually blocking love, you can see why just trying to be more open or receive more or be more feminine doesn't actually work. We need to work with the wisdom of your body and your nervous system, not against it. And that's why the practices that I'm about to share, they start small and they build gradually. And we have dozens more practices inside the 21-day feminine vortex if you want to check that out in the description. Let's talk about a couple today, because we're literally retraining your body to feel safe with love by starting small and building gradually. I want you to think about your ability to receive, like rehabilitating a muscle. You wouldn't go straight to lifting huge heavy weights and doing complex movements right after an injury. You would start small with small movements and you would slowly build strength. So similarly, we're going to start with tiny moments of receiving that your nervous system can handle and then gradually expand your capacity for love. Now, everyone is going to have a different current capacity, right? We're all starting at different places here. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But we're going to talk about 3 practical steps that work with your nervous system to create this lasting change. The first one is the body first approach. So I'm going to show you what this looks like, and we're going to walk through it step by step. This is where we start with tiny moments of receiving. Maybe it's letting someone open a door for you and not rushing to the door. Or maybe it's accepting a compliment from a friend or a stranger without deflecting it. I want you to notice your body's response in those moments when someone is offering, when someone is showing up for you. Does your chest tighten? Do your shoulders creep up? Does your breathing get shallower? Do you get nervous? These are all signs that your nervous system is resisting support. And I want you to challenge yourself in those moments to stay present with what is coming up. And stay present for just 30 seconds longer than it feels comfortable. Yeah, so if your partner gives you a compliment, instead of quickly saying like, oh, it's nothing, or like, yeah, I like your outfit too, take a breath. Let their compliment, let whatever's happening show up and let it land in your body. Feel what comes up, stay with the sensations, and rather than the impulse to reject it or the impulse to respond right away, simply say thank you. Slow down, take a breath, say thank you. The key here is to start noticing when you want to push away love and instead choose to stay present just a little longer. I have a small example. Just yesterday, my husband offered to make me raspberry leaf tea while I was working. And my first impulse was to say like, no thanks, I'll get it later, because I knew he had to stop in the middle of what he's doing, and I felt bad because I could do it, but I didn't need the tea. I wanted to say no thanks, I'll get it later, but instead I practiced staying present. I noticed the work anxiety in my body, the feeling rushed, the feeling like I don't really need this tea, but I do want it. And I took a breath and I tuned in with what do I actually want, and I wanted the tea. And even if it was inconvenient for my partner, I wanted the tea and he offered. And I said, yes, I'd love that. And it felt uncomfortable at first to own that, yes, I wanted this. And yes, if it inconveniences you, I still want it. And yes, I could make it myself, but can you make it for me, right? It felt uncomfortable to be with all those things. But even just staying with that discomfort for like 30 seconds, it just shifted. I was able to sink into the feelings of I'm receiving that. So for you, let's break down exactly what staying present in your body could be like during a moment like that. And I'll use my example, when he offered to make me that tea, I noticed again the anxiety, the tightness, like a wall going up, my shoulders tense, and I had that immediate urge to say no thanks and handle it myself. But instead of acting on that urge, I took a breath. I noticed where my body was tight, and I intentionally softened those areas. And then I let myself feel the warmth, the care of being cared for. And it's okay if it feels uncomfortable at first. And I stayed with that sensation for, around 20, 30 seconds. And then I simply said, yes, I love that. So you can do that as well in these different moments of your life. The key is that I didn't force myself to just feel comfortable. I simply created space to experience what receiving feels like in my body, even if it felt uncomfortable or awkward at first. And this is where we move on to something crucial. This brings us to something crucial. While these body-based practices are powerful on their own, they become even more powerful when we create a safe container to practice them in. And this is what I call the safety bridge. So this is number 2, the safety bridge. I want you to think of it like learning to swim. Yes, you need to practice the movements, but having a supportive environment like a calm pool instead of a rough, stormy ocean waves makes all the difference. And the same is true for learning to receive more love. This is about creating a safe container for deeper receiving. And here's how you can start. The first thing I would do if I were you is I would have an honest conversation with your partner about what's going on, about your journey, about what you're working on. You might say something like, hey, I've noticed I feel uncomfortable receiving love and I push these things away, and I'm really trying to learn to be open to receiving more love and support. And sometimes it might feel awkward or I might resist, but I really want to grow in this area. Just giving them a snapshot of where you're at. And when your partner does show up for you, even in small ways, express your specific appreciation. Thank you for making dinner tonight. It really helps me relax and I felt cared for. And throughout that process, share your progress, share your challenges. Say, oh yeah, you know how I told you I was working on this thing? I noticed I wanted to push away your help earlier when you were sweeping the house, but I'm practicing staying open. So I really appreciate you doing that. And create a simple signal for when you're practicing receiving. Maybe this is for you, right? This is for you to root back into, okay, yeah, I'm practicing receiving. I'm in this moment. Maybe you touch your heart or you use a specific phrase so that your body remembers this is the moment that I am practicing receiving. Now, the key with both of these approaches that we've talked about so far is to be gentle with yourself. You're rewiring years of independence. It won't happen overnight, but with consistent practice, you'll start to feel safer receiving love and receiving support. Now that you're learning to stay present in your body and creating a safe container for growth, let's talk about the part that many women find the most challenging. And this is actually asking for and receiving the specific support you want from your partner. I remember when I first started this journey, I thought, okay, I understand all this in theory, but what do I actually do when my partner is right there? If you're wondering the same thing, I'm about to show you exactly how to bridge the gap between understanding these concepts and putting them into action. So here's how to receive the support, specific support that you want from him. This is number 3. How to receive support you want from him. So you want to start with something small. Remember, we're starting small and we're building gradually for the body. Now, we start with small and manageable things like letting him make you tea or giving you a shoulder rub. And you practice staying present in your body while he supports you instead of jumping up to do. You'll also share genuine appreciation when he shows up for you. This helps your system learn it's safe and it encourages him to keep showing up. Creates a positive feedback loop is what it's called. And if you feel the urge to push him away, handle it yourself. Take a deep breath and remind yourself, I'm safe to receive. Let's talk about an example. I'll show you what this looked like in my own relationship. The other day I was working hard on a project on my computer, super zoned in, super focused. And my husband noticed that I seemed stressed because I was. And he came up to offer me a shoulder rub. And instead of brushing him off when he offered, I practiced staying present, accepting his support, and genuinely thanking him for taking care of me. I want you to pause this video and try this quick exercise with me. I want you to identify what is it that your partner can give to you that is a small, simple, easy to meet request that feels unnecessary, but you would actually really like it. So you don't need it, but you want it, and it's a small, simple request that he can meet. So it might be something like, hey, would you run me a bath? Hey, would you feed our daughter dinner tonight so that I don't have to make dinner? Hey, would you go get the meal? Right? Hey, would you give me a shoulder rub? Whatever it is for you, whatever you want that you know you can do yourself, but it would actually feel really good to take off your plate. Determine what that is and ask for it today. And don't forget the steps we just talked about receiving it, giving appreciation, and rinse and repeat that cycle with different things. So let's recap what we have learned. Number 1, your independence is awesome, beautiful, amazing, and it could be a protection mechanism blocking love. Number 2, this is a nervous system pattern. These patterns are nervous system patterns. It's not your personal failure. You're not doing anything wrong. These are just the way you've been programmed, and it happens, right? It happens to a lot of us. In addition to that, number 3, you can retrain your system to receive love while staying strong. Now, the journey from independence to interdependence isn't about becoming weak. It's about becoming honest with what you really want from your intimate relationship and your love life moving forward. This work is not just about feeling better in relationship. When you learn to receive love, you also experience more peace. You feel more supported. You create deeper intimacy. It actually improves your health and you access more of your power. Now, if these concepts are resonating with you, make sure you watch the whole 4-part series. This is video number 2 of the 4-part series in the Feminine Energy and Receiving series. I've also created something special for you. It's a free guide called Safe to Surrender. strong, independent, and deeply loved. And it takes everything we've talked about in this series, gives you practical tools to start feeling safe receiving love while maintaining your strength and independence. Inside this guidebook, what you're going to find is a receiving blocks assessment that is designed to understand exactly what's blocking you from the love you want. You're going to find the 3 most common receiving patterns and how to identify yours. Your first receiving practice that you can start using today. That's super awesome. Plus next steps for creating lasting transformation in your relationships. You can click the link in the description to download this free Safe to Surrender guide. And if you're loving this content and you want to go deeper, you can learn about my 21-day Feminine Vortex program, where we take these concepts and we turn them into your embodied feminine wisdom through daily practices. Many women start seeing shifts in their relationships within the first week. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to catch the rest of the series on feminine energy and receiving love. Next video, we're talking about trust issues and men, one of my absolute favorite deepest topics in my heart. And remember, you don't have to choose between being strong and being loved. You can be both. See you in the next video.